with technology. So I have my team member on board that does, and she is going to help me navigate. So if you guys have any questions, this is a longer PowerPoint, so I am going to click through some of the slides fast because I don't want to keep you guys long. But I do want you to know all about renovation loans. They are a pretty big deal. For those of you who don't know me, I am Natasha Robinson, Loans by Natasha on Instagram. I started my career just because my dad lost our building to property taxes. So when everyone else was buying condos downtown, I was looking for an agent and a team that can buy me a property where I could rehab so that way I can build wealth for my family. I did not know I was building wealth. I just was one of those type of girls that just wanted her building back. So I wanted to get something that was taken from my family, and that was just my number one priority. So here I am today. I started the renovation department at Guaranteed Rate doing test files for my boss at the time, processing every loan. I could not find someone that could do a renovation loan for me. And I learned how to do a renovation loan. So once again, I did not go to school. I did not aspire to be a loan officer. All of this happened just because I felt like there was a need in the community and just period for people that were like me that wanted to do a renovation loan that had the tools and resources. So I think we're live now. We are live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you are not zoomed into the link, we might not see your questions till later, but we will answer all the questions. But if you are on the Zoom, feel free to go ahead. We'll make sure we get those questions answered right away. There is no such thing as a bad question. So expanding your home buying options, right? Options meaning renovation. So a lot of times when listing agents hear about a renovation loan, they are like, no way, Jose. They don't want to work with a renovation loan. From their experience, they take too long. They are just very hard to get done. Well, we have mastered renovation loans on the Natasha team. We can actually close a renovation loan in 37 days. The hardest part of a renovation loan is finding the contractor. The loan part is easier. It's just not a lot of people that want to touch them because they think that they're very hard, right? So with that being said, this is a loan program. We have FHA, VA, and conventional. You can buy a house that is standing tall, that needs to be expanded, that needs an addition, that needs a dormer, that maybe I have a building right now that is a 3-unit property, and we are going to consider making that 2 duplexes. Beautiful, Kaylin. That looks better than the first one. And we're going to consider making them 2 duplexes, right? So with that being said, you can go down in units, you can also go up in units, but it's just all different possibilities, right? And here's some simple math for you guys. We're going to take the purchase price, and we're going to take the renovation cost. Renovation cost is anything associated with your renovation. The contractor bid is just one of the costs. We can finance mortgage payments, 12 of those, right? Depending on how long your job will take. We can finance your architects. We can finance your permits, right? And there's something called a contingency. A contingency is a percentage of the construction. So for an example, if your contingency is $10,000, I'm sorry, $100,000, if your bid is $100,000, if the utilities are on, you will be looking at about 10,000 contingency. If the utilities are not on, 15% is about 15,000. What that means is that when you go into a property and you say, hey, Natasha, my renovation is going to be $150,000 because my contractor gave me the bid, it's in writing, and this is what he says. If your contractor has a $30,000 problem and you have $10,000 in your contingency, you will need $20,000 out of your own pocket, right? That's the negative, bad part of a renovation. But how do we circumvent that? We get contractor bids. So anybody on this call today, you're thinking about renovation. So I recommend you call 7 contractors. Only 5 are going to show up, and maybe 3 might call you back. You want to have people in your Rolodex. If you bid your property out properly, and I had a job where I didn't do this, and it cost me one of my dream homes that I had to sell because I just was too far into the property with the market, right? Still trying to recover from that, guys. So renovations can, take a toll on you sometimes. And you're talking to somebody that does renovations. So I'm not just a loan officer. I'm somebody who is a landlord, who flips property, who has friends that's flipped properties, who sits in classes and courses. And I'm somebody who has experienced the great parts of real estate and have experienced some mistakes. I feel like I got a $250,000 master's degree in renovations because I've been doing it for so long, and I have made some mistakes along the way. And my job is to help you not make those same mistakes if I can prevent it, right? You don't have to be on your own through this process. So when you're working with your contractors, you want to make sure that you have a Rolodex and that you're getting bids. If you get 3 bids and 2 come back at 100,000 and 1 comes back at 50,000, unless you get another contractor that says they can do it for 50,000, best and believe that rehab is going to cost 100,000. So to prevent you getting in a situation where you go over budget, make sure that you're getting comparable bids. And everybody has a friend that does rehabbing, and that is absolutely amazing. But still go through the process of getting other bids, because you are responsible if you are short at the end of that mortgage more than that contingency. So just to recap, renovation costs includes the contingency, the mortgage payments, permits, as well as architect drawings. We put those 2 together, and if you're getting a VA loan, you're doing 0% down. If you're getting an FHA loan, 3.5% down. And if you're getting a conventional loan, if it's a 1 unit, you can do as low as 3%. And if it is a 2, 3, or 4 unit, you're looking at 5% of the total, guys. That is absolutely amazing because you are able to build equity into your property, rehab it, make your home or your house your dream home, right? You're able to do all of that and only put 5% down, where your investors are having to put 20 to 25% down to be in that situation. You have the ultimate opportunity to build wealth one property at a time with very little money down, right? Steps to a perfect loan: you want to get approved. I know you guys see the pretty houses. So you call the agent and say, I just want to see the house. You want to get pre-approved first. I know a lot of the clients on the call today, I'm so excited to see my clients because I don't get to see y'all that much, but a lot of people on the call are pre-approved already. And if you are pre-approved, that means you can be pre-approved for renovation. It's a different step, but if you were approved as a non-renovation, you will get approved as a renovation. Then you want to find the property, you make an offer. We're going to assign a HUD consultant, which we'll talk about in my presentation. If you need one, you're going to get your contractor bids, your appraisal. And guess what? When you get pre-approved with me, you already been underwritten. And then you go to underwriting, meaning they're going to check my work from my team, which we already did a great job on. And then we go from closing to renovation to getting that final inspection. So I know that was pretty quick. Emeka, I saw you reached out for some questions. Guys, do we have any questions? You know what? I see a question. Can you do it for manufacturer's home? Hey, Chorus. I think so, yes. I'm almost certain you can. So I will get that answer for you if it's not in the slide. I don't get a lot of manufactured homes, but believe it or not, manufacturers are a new thing, right? There's a lot of builders right now in the process of dropping a manufactured home onto a slab, right, of real estate, and it's a new thing, and it's a very cost-effective thing. So I've been hearing more and more and more about the manufactured home. So I'll get that information real quick. And I went to see I clicked away, so I'm going to click back here. Mm-hmm. So the 203K is like FHA, and then I have the home choice and the home renovation, which are conventional, right? And then I have the VA renovation loan as well. So we have 3 different renovation loan products depending on what you're pre-approved. So we'll go right into what is an FHA 203K, right? It's an FHA loan, right? And it's just A regular FHA loan is a 203B, and a 203K has a K at the end. That means we're adding the renovation, right? It enables borrowers to purchase a home that does not, that allows you to rehab the property and include the renovation into the property. You can use this program for a purchase or for a refinance. So if you know someone and you live next door to them, or it's your landlord and their porch is in trouble, or they're looking like they're having some city problems, you see city stickers on the door, tell them to call me. We can probably refinance that property and utilize their equity to fix their violations and get them out of trouble. Or if you have somebody that they just been in a house forever, or they inherited a property and they want to add some renovation, we can do that as well. Different types of properties, we can do 1 to 4 units. That includes condos. Guess what, guys? We can do a mixed use property, right? We can do a mixed use property. That means it's 51% square footage of the building is residential. I can go up to 4 units with a commercial space. I'm excited because I might be going under contract on one soon, and the first floor is a duplex commercial space, and then there are 3 other units. So I can do an FHA 203K. I cannot do that on a conventional loan product, right? I cannot do that on a conventional loan product, but I can do it on a 203K. Conventional will allow me to do it, but my max is only 1 commercial space. So, and 1 residential. So I can do it conventional on a 2 unit, but FHA will allow me to go to 4 unit properties, right? And while manufacturers homes are allowed on FHA, we do not offer them under the 203K. So we got our answer right there. I know we have a lot of new guidelines, so I think I just found that answer. So sorry about that, but I can do a manufactured home on a FHA loan that is not in need of a renovation, right? So keep that in mind as well. And just so you guys know, sometimes you see builders that started projects and they didn't finish on the new construction, right? If they started a project and they never received a certificate of occupancy, I cannot do that on an FHA loan, but I can do it on a conventional loan. So as you can see, we're utilizing the programs to benefit us in different ways, right? Because conventional can do some things that FHA can't, and vice versa. So we utilize the programs to make it make sense. That's why it's best to use a lender that has access to all the programs, because we can literally go from one program to the next and get you to the finish line. The loan terms, the standard FHA loan limits apply to 203K. That's a great thing. Loan limits are really high, right? The higher loan amounts for the 2 to 4 units, we can do 3.5% down. My minimum credit score is a 580. On the FHA loan, we cannot have any investors. We cannot use a second home. You have to live in the property for a year. No, you cannot put a mailbox on the front and say you're going to live there. And everybody, ladies and gentlemen, your year starts when you complete the renovation, not when you purchase the property. So if you purchase the property and it's going to take a year to do the renovation, they expect you to live in the property 1 year after renovation is complete. And yes, I can do a 580 credit score, but it is very normal for you to have a problem in your renovation loan. And I don't say that to you to scare you away. I say that to you to prepare you. So while I can do a file with a 580 credit score, unless you have some unique circumstances and you have access to a lot of money somewhere else, you really want to aim for that 660, 680, because say for instance, something goes wrong, you need an extra 30,000 in materials, you had a problem. It's harder to go to Home Depot and get a line of credit or get a credit card with a 580, right? So it's a little harder to be able to get extra money when you need it, when you only have the 580 credit score. So keep that in mind as well. And then we have the mortgage insurance, which we have on any loan that you don't put 20% down on the FHA. 203K standard versus limited. So we have a 203K standard. Congratulations, everybody knows about 35,000. Well, now our limited 203K can go to 75,000. What that means is that we have a program under FHA only where the contractor will get half of the money up front, half of the money when they finish, right? They do have to get permits first. If this is a limited FHA 203K, that means you are not doing anything structural in your process, and you're going to pretty much be doing a quick rehab in the process. And then your contractor likes this loan because they get half of the money up front and they get the other half later when on the 203K, the contractor has to start the job with their own funds, and then they are compensated along the way. So keep in mind, the biggest difference between the limited and the standard is how the contractor gets paid, and then the mortgage payments. We cannot finance mortgage payments on a limited. We can only finance mortgage payments on a standard because the limited is limited. We want you to be done quicker, and you don't have to have a HUD consultant, which is the third-party person on a renovation loan that is required if you do anything structural and or if you spend more than $75,000. So you can spend $35,000, but you're removing load-bearing walls. That's considered structural. So regardless of the amount, you will be into a standard renovation. But that limited, the contractors like it because they get half of that money up front. They get the other half and they finish, so it's easier in and out for the contractor. So you can consult with me directly if you need a one-on-one on what you need for the actual 203K, right? When do you need a FHA standard, right? The standard is designed for the projects requiring a higher level of supervision throughout the project. Renovation funds may only be reallocated with change order. So that HUD consultant is going to be your mediator. That person is going to come into your project. Your contractor is going to say, Mr. Bay, I completed $20,000 worth of work. I'm ready to be paid. Your HUD consultant is going to take that report and is going to come through. He's going to check off every single thing that contractor did. And then he is going to request from the lender, which is us, which is going to be us, right, y'all? But they will request from the lender that we make the payment. So once the consultant gives us permission to cut a check, we cut a check. The contractor will keep repeating the process until you guys are one and done. And then we are going to order the appraisal to come out to do the final appraisal, because we are giving you tomorrow's value today. So until that appraisal does that final appraisal inspection to confirm all of these things are complete, your appraisal is subject to everything on your scope of work being complete. Once that work is complete, the appraiser will come out and say, guarantee rate, Natasha Robinson, the scope of work was complete. Now you may close out their account. We cannot close out your account until we get that information. Yes. So if it's under one parcel, when he says parcel, guys, he's talking about a PIN number. It's a 16-digit number, right? If it's a single family, if it's not a condo, the last 4 digits will be 0. Okay. So as long as that both properties are on one PIN number, that's considered a 2-unit. Today, for the first time, I saw a side-by-side 4-unit. I haven't seen that in a really long time. I thought it was pretty cool, but it was 2 units. It was like, it looked like two flats. It was an upstairs and a downstairs, an entrance, and then an upstairs and a downstairs. And they had their separate entrances, but they were connected. So as long as it's one parcel ID, you are good to go. And that's a really good question. And then you can do both duplex. That will be considered a 2-flat. Eligible repairs, we can do structural alterations on the standard. You could do a garage, kitchens, appliances. We can include appliances, guys. And guess what? You don't have to go to Lowe's and get the cheap appliances. You can go to Lowe's and Home Depot and tell them to give you the special order book, and you can get you a 48-inch fridge. You can get 36-inch stove, so you can really get some good things going on, right? Repair the swimming pool, no problem. You want to modernize plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical systems, you can do that. If you have to install a well and septic, we don't get that a lot in Chicago, but it's something that happens, that needs to happen a lot in the properties. I've had several 203Ks came to me just because it needed a well inspected, right? A well and septic. New roofs, flooring. You can do energy conservation improvements. You can do major landscaping. You cannot do landscaping on a limited. Painting, you know, pretty much the sky's the limit. You can go up, you can go out, you know, you can do your basement. So you can do a lot, right? You can't build a tree house outside. No, but you can do a lot of things. What you cannot do, you know, is build a tennis court. You know, you wanted me to pay for this little outdoor fireplace that they have on the picture. Probably not going to happen. But you can use your own funds for that. No photo murals, no satellite dishes, no outdoor fireplaces. Those are not allowed on the 203K, but you'll find a lot of things allowed on the conventional. No tennis courts, guys, no tree houses. Rebuild with just a foundation. You can tear down the entire house If you keep the foundation, I can, under the 203K, not the home style renovation, I can rebuild that house for you on the existing foundation, right? You can move a home to a new location. Guys, can you guys believe, like, I saw this happen. Like, it was the weirdest thing ever, but they moved a house that was downtown, like on Division. I think this was probably like 5 years ago. They literally removed the home and moved it somewhere else. Like, I did not know that was a thing. It's not something you're going to see every day, but if you happen to come into that weird situation, yes, you can lift up a house and move it and drop it on a new foundation, and we are okay with that. The consultants in 203K, right? The HUD consultant is referred by myself. I prefer to assign the HUD consultant because this person is what's going to keep your loan on track. If you are doing business with me already, you probably already know that I call the listing agents. I really try to fight for my clients to win their bids, okay? The HUD consultant can delay my transaction. So I prefer to be the one to refer the HUD consultant. I cannot refer a actual contractor. You have to find those on your own, but I have some resources for you. But I do, and I prefer to assign the HUD consultant, right? The HUD consultant is going to keep you on track. Within 48 hours, if you need a HUD consultant, I want them at the property. After that, within 5 business days, I want my report back. I'll give them 1 extra day. When you meet with your HUD consultant, I'll have you call your 7 contractors and ask them to come out the day after the bid is due. Why? Because it's easy to schedule to cancel someone, sometimes hard to schedule. So we want to make sure that we not, oh, we got the bid. Okay, now let's start scheduling contractors. That's how we lose weeks on these deals, and then nobody wants to work with a 203K. So it is my job to bring sunshine to the real estate world when they see my name, because I want them to understand that my client has been prepped, coached, they understand what's next, and we can get them to the closing table quickly because we've been through the boot camp, right? You guys are here tonight. You kind of know what to expect, and then you also have me holding your hand as well, right? So keep that in mind as well. The HUD consultant work directly with the borrower and the contractor. The HUD consultant is supposed to provide 2 reports. 1 blank report broken down by labor and materials with everything you want to do. 1 other report broken down by labor and materials with everything you want to do, and a price based on union wages. This price, 95% of the time, will scare the mess out of my buyers. It's going to probably be more than what you want to spend. You keep that for yourself as your worst case. When your contractors come out and bid the job, you give them the blank report, you let them write in the numbers, and then you choose your contractor based off of the numbers. And don't forget about my cheat sheet. The lowest bid is not the best bid unless you have 2 low bids, because you, if you choose that low bid, have to prepare yourself to have to pay the difference if they don't deliver, right? And if 2 people is telling you it don't cost that much, or if it can't be that low, either believe them or find a 4th person that can come back in that price to save yourself some money in the future, right? So that's pretty much the role of the HUD consultant. They do have their own fee. Generally on a 203K, it's like $1,000 to $1,200. On the conventional, they can charge up to 2% of the purchase price, which is now what I do, or 2% of the renovation cost. So now what I do is I just give you a few so you can call and discuss their prices, and then you can go with the one that works best for you. The limited we talked about briefly. The max renovation, this is another old presentation, is $75,000. They recently just changed that in November. So we'll get that updated. And like I said, you get 50% of the bid up front. The contractor gets 50% once they get permits, if permits are needed, and then they get the other 50% after the loan is complete. Every contractor loves the limited, but every buyer can't get work done for $75,000. Do not, and I repeat, do not try to squeeze a $100,000 job into a $75,000 job. It is worth you spending the money on the consultant and having the help, because if you think it's 100, it's probably 150, right? So do what you need to do to prepare yourself so that way you don't have problems along the way. I'm not going to close your deal to make a commission. I need you to refer me more clients. So I need you to have a successful renovation loan. So me closing you is just 10% of the battle. you having a successful process is how I get referred more clients that I can help in the future, because you're able to share your story. You had a great experience and you were able to empower another renter become a home buyer based off of what I set up for you. And that's my ultimate goal. FHA versus limited on repairs. I know they kind of go over this back and forth, but pretty much, you know, on the 203K, you can't do a swimming pool. You can't do a new swimming pool on the FHA limited. You can make swimming pool repairs, but you can't replace the swimming pool. You can't do a new swimming pool, right? And then you can't do anything structural. So that's the major things you need to know versus the standard versus the limited. Home style renovation. If you're free, if you have any more 203K questions, because like I said, I didn't want to keep you guys long, but I know this presentation is very important because it's a hot topic in this market, right? But this is a nice, I love this picture, home style renovation. As you can see, they are showing you one with a beautiful kitchen, and then they're showing it kind of like a phase. I've never seen this before, but they're showing you like they're blending in the finished product with the framing, which I think is amazing. So what is a home style renovation, right? Same thing, just like the FHA 203K, purchase price plus renovation. The difference is the loan limits. I can go to 766, and I just did that really fast. I can go to 766 on a 1 unit where my FHA is like 5 something. And then on a 4 unit FHA, I'm at 1.1 million. On conventional, I'm at 1.5 million. So there is a big difference in qualifying from FHA to the conventional. So once again, I use the programs to work for me. FHA, I can do a renovation. I can buy the house for $20,000 and I can do a renovation for $400,000, no problem at all. Conventional is a little different. 75% of the repairs cannot exceed the purchase price. So if I purchase the property for $50,000 and it needs $100,000 in renovation, 75% of the renovations is $75,000. So I wouldn't be able to go conventional, but I could go FHA. Once again, having a lender that can decipher through the programs to get you to the finish line. Minimum credit score is 620 on conventional, but keep in mind with a 620, you most likely won't get approved with 5% on a multi-unit. So if you were doing 20% down, yeah, with the 620 would work. So you want to have the higher credit scores for conventional. I do recommend 720, 740, but at the very minimum, you want to be at a 680 if you want to do conventional renovation. You can finance 12 months mortgage payments. This is an older slide stack, so you can finance 12 months mortgage payments. So with that being said, we can include 12 months payments into your renovation loan. That is absolutely amazing. And you don't have to have a consultant with $75,000, not $50,000. That was something new that changed this year as well. So they want you to be done within 12 months on all the loans. It used to be 6 months. They've extended to 12 months because the cities, it takes a little longer with permits. I recommend that anybody that's doing a 203K or any renovation loan to invest a few extra thousand in a self-certified architect if you need drawings, because you want to get your permits fast. If you go with somebody and they take an extra 3 months and your mortgage payment is $4,000, you spent 12 extra thousand. Whereas if that certified architect can get you your plans 2 months sooner, if their fee is an extra $2,000 or $3,000, you're still winning because you're able to start your process sooner and you don't have to keep accumulating a mortgage payment. We're going to include the mortgage payment in your loan. We can include 12 payments, but it's still your equity. So even if I can take $9,000 and add it to your loan and pay your mortgage, that is still your equity. So the faster you get done in your renovation, the cheaper it's going to cost so you can get into that property and stop paying rent somewhere else or live there. And if it's a multi-unit, get those tenants in, right? So keep that in mind as well. The loans to value for a multi-unit, once again, guys, I'm sorry, but this is an old slide. So pretty much 1 unit, you can do 3% or 5% down. And as you can see, a 2 unit, 3 unit, and 4 unit used to be 85 and 75%. But guess what? I can do 5% down on a 2 unit, a 3 unit, and a 4 unit conventional. So like I said, they made some major better changes. So I can do 5% down on a 2, 3, or 4 unit, and I can do 3% down on a 1 unit or 5%, depending on if you're a first-time home buyer and you qualify for that program, right? Second home, you're looking at 20% down. And if you have an investment property, we can do 15% down. But I will tell you that pretty much it's mostly 25% down. The pricing normally doesn't make sense if you're not putting 25% down on the investor. But I can only do 1 unit, and you really want to have a 720, 740 credit score on that product, right? Home style eligible versus ineligible repairs, right? I'm going to get this into a Jeopardy game one day, right? So I can get you guys engaged while we're walking through. But you can you can replace gutters, right? You can upgrade existing HVAC systems, plumbing, electrical, flooring, new appliances, right? You can go up, you can go out, you can finish your basement. We don't care if it has mold, mildew, building violations, hole in the roof. That is all right with us, right? You can do custom swimming pools. And guess what, everybody? You can also do an ADU. What is an ADU? It is an accessory dwelling unit, and it is now allowed in the city of Chicago. So you can add ADUs to your property. But I will tell you that the finance gets a little tricky when you include the ADU. So we can go over that one-on-one. What can you not do? Look at that little short list. Look at that little short list on conventional. We had a long list on FHA, no tear downs, right? Any additions or alterations to provide for commercial use. So if you're doing a mixed use property, once again, it can only be 2 units on conventional. It could be 4 units on FHA. You cannot do work to the commercial space. Now, I will tell you what you can do. You could do the underground plumbing. They're going to call it a white box. So you can make sure all the electrical, the plumbing is done, but any drywall or repairs to that commercial unit, you would have to have your new tenant make those repairs. You can just do the vanilla box is what they call it to get it ready. Any repair or improvement requiring a work schedule longer than 6 months, right, is not eligible for the is ineligible. So that would be longer than 12 months now. So we can now go 12 months. So that's a new change that was made on all of the loans. So you can finance 12 months payment. The renovation can be 12 months long. Before November of 2024, you had to be done in 6 months. And sometimes it takes 4 months just to even get permits. So that was unreasonable. So it's nice to see that they've made some changes so we can deal with the reality of construction, because the reality is that it takes longer than 6 months to do a gut rehab on a project. Renovation loan overview. We went over the basics, FHA versus home style. We have the limits, are pretty much higher on the conventional. FHA can do primary and while home style can do primary, second home, and investment. Conventional, the minimum down payment is 3.5, right? And then on 1, 2, 3, and 4 units, whereas home style conventional is you can do 5% down on a 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, or 4 unit. FHA will allow your debt to income ratio to go to 56.99%, even though this slide says 50. Well, conventional allows you to go to 50. So sometimes people have to go FHA just for the buying power, even if they have 800 credit scores. So once again, we work the program, right? If you're doing a regular FHA, you have to have a HUD consultant. If you're spending more than $75,000 or doing anything structural, same thing pretty much for the home style. They kind of pair it up on that. Conventional allows non-occupying co-borrowers, and it's going to take y'all a little left. But I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it slowly because I know I was told I talk fast. So on an FHA loan, if you have a non-occupying co-borrower, if it's more than 1 unit, you have to put 25% down. On conventional, you can have a non-occupying co-borrower and put 5% down on a 2, 3, and 4 unit. So once again, knowing the programs matter because there are so many loopholes depending on your circumstance to determine what is the best loan for you. So that's a great question. So when you start talking about business, you start telling me you're a little more savvy, you're a little more of an investor. These programs are more for owner-occupied individuals. So when you purchase your first home, and tonight we don't talk about house hacking, that's a whole nother Monday night. I think we had that last Monday. But when you are coming in as a house hacker, meaning you're going to live in the property for a year at least, put the minimum down payment, you're buying those properties in your own name. No LLC, no business credit. Once you get to your third property or whenever you're ready and you want to start purchasing with business credit and in an LLC, then I would be referring you to a different lender. All the loans that I do, you're pretty much going to have to do in trust or in your name. I do have some broker options that we can discuss on a case-by-case scenario, but when you start talking the words that you're talking with the LLCs and business credit, and I'm happy that you've made it to that point because that is what we are doing now, and we have so many sources of information. So I'm excited about that you even know about that. But for this process, you're doing everything as a simple, your own credit, your own social security number, no business, we can't use a loan to get a loan. The only loan you can use to put down on a house is a line of credit, which would be you own a property and you are using the equity out of that property to purchase another property. But that's the only loan that you can use to purchase a property. So I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, you can throw me another question in there. VA renovation is 100%. We used to only do 2 units. Now we can do a 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit. You could spend up to $75,000. They want the project to be complete over 4 months. We are using conventional loan limits, ladies and gentlemen. What that means is that we can go to the highest of the high, no money down, right? And if you are a disabled veteran, you won't have to pay the VA funding fees. And in Cook County, you don't have to pay property taxes either. So once again, those are things we could do on a one-on-one basis. On a VA renovation loan, you will have to have a HUD consultant regardless of whatever it may be. So you will have to have a HUD consultant if you do any renovation. If you spend $5,000, you still have to have a HUD consultant on this particular program. And we're going to be holding a 15% contingency. I talked earlier about 10%. If you spend $100,000 on an FHA loan and conventional, your contingency, the money we hold for the repairs, it can be 10%, which would be $10,000 if we spent $100,000. On the VA, it's 15%. So it's a little more contingency. They want to be a little more safe. And the minimum amount of repairs is $3,000. So if you're doing a project and the renovation is $3,000, I probably wouldn't let you do it anyway, unless it's something you ultimately had to do because the seller just wasn't working with you. But I generally would try to. Renovation loans have a slightly higher interest rate and slightly more fees. So if your construction is as low as $3,000, we want to find a way that we can get that done for you just in a regular loan if we can. The appraisal must be ordered with the bid, just like all of the rest of the files, right? The final inspection is to be completed by the VA appraiser, just like the other files. The FHA would be a FHA appraiser. The conventional will be a conventional appraisal, right? And then if you have a property with a rating of a C5, it's acceptable as long as the repairs will bring it to a C4. C5 is the worst condition a property can be in. And this is the same for all renovation loans. So if you were to go purchase a property and it was a C5 and you were doing regular loan and it wasn't renovation, the lenders would deny it because it's in such bad condition that the life of the roof, the house, the flooring is not going to last 30 years. And it's going to require the bank to have to become an investor or a construction company to help bridge that gap if the borrower couldn't do it. But in any of my renovation products, we can bring a loan from whatever condition to the best condition because we are looking at the bid. We are not looking at what the property looks like today. We are looking at what the property will be tomorrow, right? And then the appraisal cannot be ordered until we get that contractor a VA ID, right? So we got to take the contractor that you want to use. We got to get that contractor VA approved, and then we can order the appraisal because they want to make sure that the contractor that you are using are going to be the one you end up with in the process because they were able to get approved by VA. VA is a little more challenging. They have their own approval process for the contractors. So save some time. If you're doing a VA renovation, I would put 60 days on it just because we have to depend on the VA for certain information as well. Eligible improvements, pretty much you know, anything that can be completed over that 4 to 6 months time. So finishing the basements, accessibility, you need a wheelchair ramp, painting, cosmetic repair, window and door replacement, siding, you know, septic replacement. You know, the home must be habitable at the time of the application. This is not for the gut rehab. This is for the property that just needs a little love so you can make it your dream home. You can pretty much live there if you wanted to. It's habitable to a poor person standards, but you just want to fluff it up. That's what VA is for. If you want to do a gut and you want to go crazy, even though you have your veteran capabilities, we will put you in a conventional or FHA 203K. And then once you finish those major repairs, we can refinance you to a different type of loan, right? You can't do anything major, right? No oil tanks, no structural modifications. Any repair that will take longer than 4 months is pretty much a no, right? And any repair that prevents the bar from occupying more than 15 days during the renovation period, no. This is something where they want you to be able to get into your house. They're just giving you some dollars to make it your dream home quickly. So once again, no gut rehabs for the veterans, but as the programs get different and change, this is a new program, they'll probably start tightening up over the time. They're probably just testing the product. Y'all look at that lake view. I feel like I'm in the wrong city right now. Loans at a glance. So this is something we'll email you guys out. Emeka, we could just take this slide out and send it to everyone with the recording or after the recording. This is how you compare all of our programs side by side. We're gonna update this so that way it has the correct information as relates to the max renovation, how many mortgage payments and things like that. But this is a good cheat sheet for you guys to be able to use throughout the process. So that is a myth. So a first-time home buyer means that you have not owned a home in 3 years. Okay. So if you was to buy this property and you keep it, then you're considered a homeowner. So yes, once you purchase it, it will take that away. CHAC, one of my grant programs, if you qualify for CHAC, they do allow you to utilize this particular the down payment assistance with the renovation loan. So you are able to take advantage of some first-time home buyer programs, but because you are a first-time home buyer or because you are a buyer that doesn't own any properties, you will be able to do the 3% home ready, which gives you the lower down payment and a lower interest rate. That is a first-time home buyer that's combined with the renovation loan. And like I said, you can combine the CHAC grant. But if you were to buy this property and you live in it, it would take away your quote unquote first-time home buyer. But if you sell it, you get it back after 3 years of not owning. But if you're a non-owner occupant, if you're going on as a co-signer for someone, right, you can still get another FHA loan. And keep in mind that whole first-time home buyer thing was something that happened a while ago. Now that conventional is letting you put 5% down on a 4-unit, you're okay having that first 4-unit as a FHA. And no, you can't get a second FHA unless you're moving 100 miles away, or if you have expanding family and you meet the second FHA guidelines. But you can just put 5% down and buy another building through conventional and still keep your FHA. You can still keep your VA and then end up with the FHA on your second property and a conventional on your third property. So you can still move around in products, because now, back in the day, FHA was the only way to put low down payment on a multi-unit. Now that conventional has changed, you have a little more bandwidth. And hopefully I answered your question, but if I didn't, definitely let us know. And if you guys are not my client, and I know a lot of my clients are on this call tonight, if you are interested in getting an opinion, you can always complete a loan application and we can kind of let you know what you qualify for. And then other events that I kind of have coming up. Guys, I've been working. I didn't even know I was doing this much work, but we have been working. So we are having our builder call tomorrow for those of you that are agents and you're looking into working on getting builder incentives, getting builders as client, or buying homes that are new construction. I do own a not-for-profit called Building Dreams Foundation, and April is financial literacy month. So we are having a 5-week, because it's 5 Wednesdays in April. So we're having a 5-week series for financial freedom, and that's going to be funding your business. We're bringing banks out that have the funding. One of our clients on the call was talking about that. So we're going to bring you the professionals that do that. We're going to be talking about retiring with real estate on Wednesday, the April 9th. We're going to do the Master the Stock Market on the April 16th. We have commercial real estate coming up. And then the final, we're going to do the Wealth Builders Meet Up Estate Planning Probate, where we're going to teach you how to make sure you have your wills and trusts. I am not licensed in these fields, but I want to be able to bring to my followers and my clients more value than just what I offer. I want us to be a network. So I am bringing in professionals that I'm going to be working with this year to bridge the gap between some of the things that I haven't taken care of for my family. And if you guys didn't come last year, we did what was called Black Friday Reversed. On Black Friday, we all came together. We gave away free TVs, free Marvel toys. We had MC Light in the building. We had 39 days of planning, and with the blessing, we had 1,523 people register and 722 people walk in the door. So now we are doing our first monthly meetup to the Wealth Symposium. We're going to be talking about taxes. If you haven't filed your taxes, if you need tax strategies to get refunds. No, I'm not presenting. I do have 3 accountants that will be in the building, and they will be discussing these topics. So you guys can scan if you'd like to come. There are going to be a lot of free resources. It's from 10 a.m. to noon. It is a restaurant. They don't open until 12. So it's not going to be a brunch, but they will open for brunch at 12 after our event. And that's in Lansing. And we will be doing this as a monthly event. So you guys can feel free to always tune in, and then you can stay connected with me by following me on Instagram, Loans by Natasha, Facebook, and I am loansbynatasha.com. So I really appreciate you guys. Did I get any more questions? Y'all got to leave with some questions. Any questions? Oh, you tested my skills. Let me see what I can do. Because I think I gotta stop sharing share again. Let me see. So I'm gonna pull it back up for you. You text checking my my skills with, let's see. So I'm gonna pull that screen back up, and great job, you guys, because that was a lot of slides, but I was trying to click through them so that way you didn't see how many it really was. But with that being said, the question was, okay, yes, right. So guaranteed rate is going to approve any contractor that is licensed in your municipality and that has the trade lines and the references. So there is no guaranteed rate contractor. We are not allowed to refer contractors. However, when we refer you to the HUD consultant, they can refer you contractors. And in addition to that, there is a such thing called and I haven't used them yet, so I don't know how it's going to work. So let's do it together, Carol. Do not pay $400 for an estimate. I'm sorry for anybody that's watching me on live. I am against it. So if they decide to do it, that's their choice. But I just feel like, making a $400 investment on a property that you don't own, is aggressive, and it can make you not come back and try to buy again. So definitely, 203K contractor.com. Is that what it was, Emeka? They reached out to us just recently. Okay, so 203kcontractors.com, that's something new. I haven't researched them yet, but they have been reaching out to me to market. They made me some flyers, but I need to do a little research. Kevin Russell in the renovation room, sometimes those contractors will ask for like $400 to come out. I said what I said, I'm sorry, but we're trying to get buyers to the next level. So if they have to, do a Zoom with you to protect their time or whatever, to make sure their price is coming in a range that makes sense to you, you just don't want to spend $400 for 5 contractors and then now use $2,000 and you're not even going to move forward with the property. And I don't want you to get one contractor and don't get another estimate for me because you don't want to pay $400. So I want you to get contractors that'll come out and earn your business by giving you a bid. And of course, if they do a good job, let them earn the business. Don't waste their time. I'm sure they're coming up with this fee because people are getting their time wasted. But if you go to the renovation room on Facebook, he has them in all states. So you can pull up the one for Chicago. And I like that he does have it. And I know he has his little link. And sorry, Russell, if you're listening to me, but I do just go in, and then once I become a member, I'll post, hey, I'm looking for a contractor that could do a gut rehab in 60653 or in Homewood or wherever it is. So that way you get the contractors that work in the area. On these websites that I'm referencing to you, you will get the worst contractors in the world and you will get the best contractors. So you have to do your due diligence. We're going to have a Zoom coming up with, and you can add this one to Mecca, but we're going to have a Zoom coming up with contractors. So that way they can show you how to find the best contractor. What questions should you ask? How do you screen them? How do you go to make sure they did a job after COVID? COVID prices, before COVID prices and after COVID prices aren't the same. Those pictures that they sending you, did they really do that project or did they just pull those off somebody else's site? Those are the things that you want to know. And someone else just taught me a new trick you can go to the city of Chicago somehow and pull the recent permits they had. If they haven't been on a permit in 4 years, that's a red flag. It could be that they just have a lot of money and didn't want to do a rehab. So it doesn't mean that they're not going to work out for you, but it's a good conversation to find out why haven't you pulled any permits in 4 years. So those are little cheat sheets of things that I learned. You can go to Angie's List. I go to like the yellow pages, believe it or not, and I'll go to the L. So I try to go in the middle because I feel like the people that's at the top, they paid for marketing and they're just going to be more expensive. And once again, I don't want to keep apologizing because I'm literally on live really letting you guys know how my brain works when it comes to different things, but that's just my brain. So with that being said, those are the ways. And then go on Facebook, get referred to somebody. Hey, do you have a contractor that is amazing that you can refer to me? When you're referred by somebody, I noticed that is the best way to get a great relationship is by having the referral. Yes, ma'am. And this is that slideshow. Some of this information is wrong. Like the max renovations at 35,000. That's incorrect. The HUD consultant can go to 75,000 now, and we can finance 12 mortgage payments. So we're gonna pull the recent one because they made some changes. And then I'm gonna get this slide out. As a matter of fact, this is gonna be on my renovation guide. We're doing the one for non-renovation, but we're gonna have this one on the laminate, this screen on the laminate once we get the correct one. So apologize to have this outdated one. I was told to check this and I didn't review it in its entirety, but I do know how everything pretty much works in the rules and the guidelines. I have those down by pack. And VA renovation is now 1 to 4 unit. So it's not just a 2 unit anymore. So a lot of good changes for you. So we'll get that out to you. I am taking questions if there are questions. It's not 8 doors. 8 doors means that there's 8 kitchens. So you're looking at a building, I think, that somebody that was an 8 unit and somebody made a 2 unit. I think I know what property you might be talking about. But you may be looking at a building where somebody turned an 8 unit into a 4 unit. So they may still have a door on each floor to the unit. But if there's one kitchen, it's 1 unit. So the kitchen is what makes it 2 units. So if you have 8 kitchens, you have an 8 unit. If you have 4 kitchens, you have a 4 unit. Even if the door opens, if it opens up to the duplex and upstairs, they just have another way out. Some people are creative because they've been taking my classes and you can make an 8 unit a 4 unit, and you can make a 5 unit a 4 unit. You can always downgrade. But if it has 8 kitchens, it's an 8 unit. If it has 4 kitchens, it's a 4 unit. So that's your cheat sheet. So you have an 8 unit. I don't know why they're calling them 4 duplexes, because when you go upstairs, you have a kitchen. So that's going to be considered a 4-unit. If you want to email me the property address, I can look it up for you. But if it's 8 kitchens, it's an 8-unit. Now, if you under your renovation remove the kitchen and make the duplex just one apartment with one kitchen, then it's a 4-unit. But if it has 8 kitchens, it's an 8-unit. And I'm like, Texas, hey. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for tuning into my Mortgage Move Mondays. I know we're gonna have some different topics coming out for the rest of the month. If you guys can make it and you want to come out on the 29th, we'd love to see you. It is in Lansing, so we are going to be having something at my office on 26th Street, which is a little closer. But you can feel free to tune in if you want to join us. And thank you guys for joining us. And every day I tell my clients after this call 5 people and share with them something that you learned. We having this big conversation in 2025 about gatekeeping, and make sure you're getting your advice from a actual mortgage expert, and find 5 people that you can invite to our Monday calls to share with them so we can become homeowners together, because we are not going to be able to live in the hood communities that we were born and raised, because everyone's buying our real estate. So please, if you want to have a seat at the table, get all the information you need so that way you can purchase your home and buy into your own seat at the table. So I am Natasha Robinson, your loan officer, Loans by Natasha, MLS number 332074. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. If you have any questions, you can always email me, call me, and we will see you next Monday if you are coming to Mortgage Moves Monday. Have a good night.